Oh, goodness gracious. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest is a Tony Award-nominated actor who you can catch June 2nd on Lifetime in the new series American Princess. The great Rory O'Malley is here, folks. You excited about that? I'm excited. Make a little bit of noise for Rory. Perfect amount of noise. We're going to bring him out in just a moment, but first, I believe we have a peek at the show, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
Amanda, your friends and family have gathered here out of love. Are you familiar with the term intervention?
I went on one mini bender after the BJ incident. Babe? Are you out of your mind? On our wedding day?
I think the wedding is probably off because of a little quarrel. I called off every wedding because of that.
Not now, Mom.
Everyone thinks you've been brainwashed by a cult.
Where am I?
At the Renaissance Festival.
Google it.
To be or not to be? What I meant was to be!
This place is insane.
Are you hiring? I have a degree in English from Vassar.
You have any felonies?
No.
You're hired.
I'm so excited you're here.
Let's go, let's go.
How didst thou fare on thy first inaugural day?
Defer to your queen, like a palsied seal.
You'll blend in, eventually.
I'm blending in just fine.
Amanda, tell us more about this community.
Morgan said all the women wear corsets.
Oh yeah, they're basically sex slaves.
Why, thank thee.
What in the dorky hell has gotten into her?
Those titties, though.
Yes, girl, those titties. I have finally found a place where I feel good. God save the queen!
Are you not entertained?
It's a community that values acceptance and love.
This doesn't end in an orgy, does it?
Not on Sundays.
You've had your little nervous breakdown, dear. It's time to come home.
This is your home now. Your family.
Let's go, let's go.
American Princess.
Ladies and gentlemen, make a crazy amount of noise. The great Rory O'Malley sitting right over here. Come on.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Rory, I said in the green room, I'll say it again. Congratulations on this wonderful show.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it so much. It was even more fun than it looks. It was just the best time making this show.
It 100% looks like you were having a ton of fun making
Yeah,
this
it was like
show.
going to a Renaissance fair every day.
Have you, now let's start right there.
Okay.
Have you ever, prior to this, experienced a Renaissance fair before?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you were familiar.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I knew what it was. But I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and there was I was on the west side of Cleveland in Bay Village. There was a Bay Village Renaissance fair. It was pretty much just a maypole and a tent with like turkey legs. It was pretty small.
Got the rudimentaries, but not quite the
like
full
trying,
scale.
you know. But I have gone to Renaissance fair since and knew this was a really, really big world. All across the country, there are Renaissance fairs, and until you go, you don't realize how committed the people who work at the Renaissance Fair and the people who go to the Renaissance Fairs are at being in the Renaissance.
It's a fascinating, I don't even know if subculture, I think it's bigger than that. It's its own like facet of society. And you're right, there are all these different levels. There's the people that work there, the people that go. Then there's like casual people that go and check it out. So you have all these different, it's a really interesting scene to walk around.
Yeah. Well, it started in Laurel Canyon in Los Angeles in the 60s, and it just grew bigger and bigger. And then they started having Renaissance fairs all across the country. And if you look at like Comic-Cons today and cosplay, like that's where it came from. And now if you go to a Renaissance fair, you will see a couple of people dressed as Deadpool walking around, you know? And like there's those cultures have come together, but it really did have its roots from pretending to be somebody else with other adults. You know, like not just having October 31st be the only day that you're allowed to dress up and play. And that, you know, it's this culture of people who come together on the weekend and have fun and pretend that they're at another time.
That's it, man. Well, let me ask you this then. Well, let's start at the very beginning. How did you get involved with this great project? How did it come to you?
I got the script by Jamie Denbo, our showrunner and creator, who got her start in a Renaissance fair. So it's written with so much love. This is not making fun of a Renaissance fair. I could see that this was somebody who loved this world and who knew it inside and out. Yeah. And it was the character of Brian, who plays Shakespeare at the Renaissance fair. And I'm a drama student. I studied Shakespeare. I never thought I'd get to perform Shakespeare on TV in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes I'm performing it in the mud, as you can see here.
Still performing it.
That's right. That's right.
Still count.
Yeah, we're making the people laugh. But it is such a great part, and it's such a great show. And it's produced by Jenji Kohan, who did Orange is the New Black, Glow, and Jenji is such a great producer. She can make you want to go into whatever world she creates. I wanted to go join a women's prison after I was watching Orange is the New Black. I was like, this is amazing.
How do I get in?
Yeah, I want in. I want to eat at the cafeteria. I want to work in the kitchen. I was like, this is a world that I want to belong in because I've gotten to know these characters so well. So when I signed on to this show in this first episode, I probably had maybe like a dozen lines. You know, I didn't know where this character was going to go, but it made me think about Orange is the New Black or Glow and all these characters that are introduced in these really rich ensemble pieces that Jenji has. And I knew that she was going to let the writers and our creator, Jamie Denbo, take this character on so many twists and turns. And just, I have never played a character that was this rich and colorful.
Oh, that's just it. That's what I really was excited to talk to you about is because of where Brian goes and how much you get to do in this role.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, how much of that was there on day one when you walked in, and how much have you kind of been able to sort of discover as you go, and what that process has been like?
Well, Brian is a pompous actor, so my husband said I didn't have to do any research at all. But
that's love right there.
Yeah, right?
That level of honesty.
Yeah. He's always there for me. But it was something that I love. I've been in Shakespeare plays. I love Shakespeare. But Brian is way smarter than I will ever be. So I would get scripts, and just like as not even when he was performing Shakespeare, like the words that Brian would use, I was like, I better bring a dictionary to every table read and figure out what this guy is saying. And that's the biggest challenge for me in the show, is just trying to pretend I'm as smart as this character. And
is it as easy as bringing a dictionary when you want to play smarter?
Okay. Well,
that and glasses. Is where my head goes right away. That's how I play smarter.
Yeah. It was, well, like it's the writers. As long as the writers are that smart, then you can pretend that you are. And I thought of that word to use.
You, man.
That's
the whole game.
Exactly. So the writers definitely made me look really, really good. But other than that, it's just like making sure I know how to walk in the costume, making sure I know how to hold myself, and how to interact with the Queen, played by Shauna Kofed, who is my best friend at the Renaissance Fair, because we're the two bosom buddies, the two queen bees, the mean girls at the fair, if you will, because we were these probably high school theater nerds like I was, and, at the low end of the food chain in high school. And at the Renaissance Fair, we're right on top. And so it's interesting dynamic to see these people have all this power that they didn't anywhere else in the world. They have no power. But here at the Renaissance Fair, they have it all. And sometimes they use it for good, and sometimes for evil.
Sometimes for evil.
Sometimes.
Did any of your you were very recently in a little show that nobody ever talks to you about called Hamilton, and
I'm so rarely asked about that.
What I don't want to get too deep into that. What I do want to,
I could talk about it all day.
I'm sure
literally
you could.
Changed my life, and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
100%. We could do a whole 40 minutes just on your time there.
Yeah.
What I do want to know, though, is going into this project, but where did that align? Like, how much have you taken with you? You said it's changed your life, right?
Yeah.
So have you picked stuff up? Are you using things now, even though you're not on stage, you're on camera, where you're like, oh, thank God I did this because I've learned this?
Absolutely.
And like, how's it prepared you for the rest of your life?
Well, like I said, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and we don't walk around like kings in Cleveland, Ohio. Just LeBron. He walked around like a king because he was. That's right. But not me. I, was taught to be very humble and Irish Catholic, like beat you down into the ground, and you could never brag about something that would be mortifying. So to walk on a stage as King George III, the Mad King, and have that presence, and to own the stage, but not just any stage, Hamilton, like to be in a show with Lin-Manuel Miranda and the entire original cast, because I came in about 8 months into the run. It was a surprise that Jonathan Groff got a gig and had to leave the show early, and all of a sudden I was called to be put into this show that was a phenomenon, that was like being dropped in the center of a hurricane. And I was scared out of my mind.
Remember the phone call when they were like, "Hey, we need you to do this"?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, I was in New York and I was doing another Broadway show, and this happens. It collapsed. It did not happen, and I had to fly back to Los Angeles, where I was living with my husband. And I was like, "All right, Broadway's done with me. Get me pregnant. Let's have a kid. I'm done with this business." I was like in a really dark place.
So you were taking it well.
Yes, I was very healthy about it. And my agent called, and she said, "Would you want to go back to Broadway?" And I said, "Oh, I don't think I could right now. I'm so heartbroken." She said, "Well, what if it's for the King in Hamilton?" And I said, "I'm at LAX. I'm on the red eye. I'll be right there." And she said, "Do you want to talk to your husband first?" And I said, "No, I'll text him when I get there." We had seen the show off Broadway. I went to school with Leslie Odom Jr. to college with him, and I saw his performance off Broadway, and I knew how special the show was. I knew how wonderful the role was. And it was insane that what happened is that the casting director, Bethany Knox, for the show that collapsed was also the casting director for Hamilton. And she saw me in rehearsals, and she said, "Well, hey, Rory's funny. He can do it, and I know he's free." So she called and got me that part, and all of a sudden I was on stage with the entire original cast of Hamilton. Before we were nominated for a Tony or anything, like it was this whirlwind that I got to be a part of and had no business being a part of. It felt like I won a contest.
Yeah. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I mean that changes your life.
Of course.
And so definitely coming to this character. I mean, I think it's also funny that I'm just playing dead historical English characters.
I was say, you gotta type. They're putting you right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was also like sometimes when you go into an audition, they're like, "Well, we saw him do almost this, so he can do it." I was like, "Yeah, come on." I did 800 performances of Hamilton.
Account for something.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel though that kind of playing that guy who can walk around a place like he owns it was hard for me before the King. And after you do that hundreds of times, because you have to, and you have a crown on your head, it is the first time I've played a character that literally changed my DNA. Okay, maybe not literally, but
that dictionary is
yeah, I'm gonna go look that up, DNA and how that works later on. But it changed who I was as a person. So certainly it's changed my work.
You're fantastic in this show, and this is definitely a special character. I mean, Brian, he's a good character in an interracial relationship, and there's just dimension to him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's a three-dimensional character, and you obviously are putting a lot of work into this character, and you're having a good time playing it. He gets love scenes as well. Like there's so much going on here that we don't see a lot of on television.
Well, it's he's a homosexual. Yep. I don't want to shock anyone. But he has a relationship, a fully formed, highs and lows relationship. And it sounds so crazy to be like, oh, that's, such a wonderful thing. But I've never experienced this as an actor. I've played plenty a gay character, and I've never gotten to have this fully realized three-dimensional relationship with another gay character in a show. And I just give so much credit to our creator, Jamie Denbo, and of course, Jenji, because she always goes there. She is completely fearless. There was no discussion. This wasn't like, oh, is this going to be okay? And I think that when you do that just fearlessly and you bring an audience somewhere, they just follow because it's really all the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, LGBTQ issues have always been sort of at the forefront of what you do. In addition to the acting stuff, you co-founded, I want to write it down because I want to get the names exact here. You Belt the Vote.
Yes.
You've co-founded Broadway Impact.
Right.
Like, you've always been very, very vocal within the community. You know, what do you hope is the greater significance of a young homosexual person seeing a fully fleshed out character and seeing Brian on a show like this and feeling represented?
Yeah, I think that it's very important to me because I think that the gay characters that I grew up with were so important because even when I wasn't out of the closet growing up in Cleveland, I could see these characters and say, okay, they are laughing, they are happy, they are alive, they are okay. Because there wasn't, I didn't have a lot of gay role models around me at home. But what I didn't see were relationships. What I didn't see was what my husband and I have, and seeing that reflected on a screen to the extent that would have been so beneficial to me to say, you know, it's something that you don't have to preach. You just have to show what a normal gay relationship looks like.
As someone who didn't grow up with a lot of gay role models, what does it feel like, you know, looking through social media, you have become a gay role model for a lot of people.
Oh boy.
What well, what do you feel that? Do you feel a responsibility? How does that process in your head? How do you navigate that idea?
Well, you know, I think that every gay adult is a gay role model to a certain extent because we have to be the family members and the leaders for the younger gay community because they may not have a parent or a family member or someone in their inner circle to trust or to show how to live life. So whether we like it or not as gay adults, we are role models and we have a responsibility to our younger generation and we have to take care of each other. And I think that I realized that when I was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway and I was playing a openly closeted gay character and, you know, a Mormon who says, like, yes, I have gay thoughts, but I just turn them off. And, you know, growing up Catholic, that was what my philosophy was to get through my gay thoughts. So I certainly identified with that. And I was getting so many letters from young people who were saying, I've never told anyone I was gay. My parents would be so angry. And it was, to be honest, incredibly overwhelming. So I talked to different gay organizations that I trusted and said, how do I respond to a young person who says I'm the only person they've ever told? And I came up with a guideline, like of how to respond to people. And I really, like, I was getting sometimes a dozen letters a week over the internet or at the stage door. And, you know, hopefully they have some other folks in their life, but my God, if I was the only person that they reached out to, that responsibility became so strong. And because I was such a theater nerd and put people on Broadway on such a pedestal, I felt incredibly determined to respond to every single one. So I said, like, these are the different organizations you can talk to and reach out to, and know you're not alone. And I'm so honored that you would reach out to me. And, you know, that was the position that I was in at that time. And I think that because of playing that role in the theater community and because of being an out married gay man and, you know, talking about it openly, I continue to receive letters. But it's funny how they really have gotten more optimistic because I think the culture has gotten more
over time. Yeah,
they have.
I mean, obviously, there's still work to do. We're sitting here talking about how groundbreaking it is that you play a gay character in a relationship.
Yeah.
But like, still, there has been progress. Baby steps are not. So I was curious how that's impacted the letters over time. What is there a unifying theme nowadays? Is there something like what's something you think the LGBTQ community of today like really needs to hear?
I think that it really is about coming together to take care of each other, kind of what I was saying before, that we are each other's family. And if we don't have each other's backs. I think that there needs to be a lot of education within our community, especially with the trans community and the lesbian and gay members of the LGBTQ need to do everything they can for the trans community right now because they are under attack and I mean physically in many different, and they always have been, but as they step into the light, and it will only become more dangerous for them. And I think that's, that was the thing that was for me so impressive about the younger generations, because I didn't have to worry about coming out in high school because I would never have thought of it. And now I go back to talk to high school kids and, they're like, I'm worried about if I don't bring my boyfriend to the prom, will that mean that I'm a bad gay person? And I want to go, no, just go stag. It's okay. You don't have to, fight for the cause at your prom. You will have lots of time to do that. Do what you're comfortable with. And I think that the younger generation right now, which gets so much flack for not doing certain things, millennials are changing the world in ways that we don't even understand just by being who they are. And I think that's incredibly important.
Well, we're going to go in a second to audience Q&A, but first of all, thank you for having that conversation with me.
Of course. Now, American Princess is a little lighter.
A little bit. That's exactly what I was going to
wanted to bring up. There's a lot more comedy than social commentary, but I always go there, don't I?
A little...
It's a romantic comedy.
Yeah. Remember the shimmying we were talking about?
There was a lot of shimmying. It makes you want to shimmy.
It does.
And as everything, I only do projects that make you want to shimmy, and it's shimmying in a corset.
That's
but
the litmus
shimmying.
test. You look at a script and you go, am I going to shimmy while I read this?
Exactly.
And yay or nay.
Yeah.
No, it is a very funny show, a very romantic show. But again, all of these things connected and relevant.
For sure. And it really was, to me, I didn't even realize until we were like in episode 3 or 4, oh my God, I'm in a relationship with another man on a TV show. Yeah. I've never experienced this as an actor, and I've played lots of gay roles. I've played lots of sassy gays who have a couple of lines who will, make you laugh, but this was the first real relationship, and it meant a lot to me, so I hope it means a lot to people in the gay community.
And yeah, absolutely. That was why I brought it up, just because watching the show and watching your character and grow and like watching who the character was, I was like, oh, wow, this is something I'm not seeing a lot of. This is really cool. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Right.
And so I appreciate you having that conversation, even though the show's a little bit lighter and funnier than that particular conversation. That said, we got a question from Twitter. We're going to kick it off right here from @KikiCatXOXO. It says, hi, Rory. Were there any funny behind-the-scenes moments on set that you can share with us?
Oh, my God. There were too many.
Had to be.
There were so many because, like I said, we were at a Renaissance fair.
You had to be at a real fair, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, they built an entire fair for us. So it was our...
Oh, wait, that was your fair?
Yes. I mean,
that's cool.
They couldn't just kind of do one. They just had to build one. So every day at work was a trip. There's a scene where I get mud all over me, like I said before, and that took a lot of takes, a lot of costume cleaning and changes. So I was very filthy for a couple of episodes. Not just what I was saying, rolling around in the mud, literally. And, basically, I think the craziest thing that we had to deal with was the heat. It was sometimes 114 degrees. We filmed it in Simi Valley, and I'm literally wearing like a velvet curtain.
Yeah, you're covered.
Right? And I am the whitest person who ever walked the earth. I'm so pasty white. It's blinding if I take off my shirt.
Reflect sunlight.
Yes, I really do. And so there you go.
No.
I was so afraid of burning from the sun that I was constantly putting on 100 SPF. Yeah, and everyone felt so bad for me that have to wear all those clothes, and I was like, no, it's saving my life. But yeah, one night I showed up for a night shoot, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and it was still 104 degrees.
Oh my God, at night.
Yeah, yeah. So it was pretty crazy, and I always say it's a testament to how much fun we had on set that everyone loved each other, even though it was sweltering heat.
At that point, you welcome diving in the mud, don't you? It's
Very
cool.
true.
It's nice and chilly.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
Kate, do I have any in the room? I've got 2. Perfect. Let's do the first one right over here.
Hi, Rory.
Hi.
So your character, Brian, is someone who plays a character who is based on a real person. How
Right.
do you wrap your head around that meta-ness? Like, was it a
Right.
challenge? Was it fun?
Oh, it was so fun, and it was a challenge because sometimes he's performing on a stage, but, you know, he's in a fight with his scene partner, and he's, you know, you're trying to get both things across. But, you know, I mean, how many times has that happened to me on the stage at Book of Mormon? Or, you know, like, I've had fights backstage, and you have to go do the scene. So it was fun. I certainly was comfortable in that, of playing a character and knowing what the life of backstage was. But it was a blast, you know, like so much. That's what the whole show is about. It's about the drama on stage and in front of the people coming to the fair, but more about the drama backstage and what happens when everyone at the fair goes home. That's when the real show starts.
That's the tagline right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Kate, do I have another one? I got one more question. Let's do it right over here.
Hi.
Right,
So I feel like stage actors often talk about the difficulty of going to screen because you have to go macro to micro.
Right.
And with Shakespeare, it's like doubly so because that's so large. Did you do anything special having to deal with that particular material?
Did I tone down my performance? Never, never. No, it is. I joke that I was like, of course, you know, I'm in this TV series and I'm like just this over actor of Shakespeare, you know. But it was fun because I got to do both. You know, I got to perform as Shakespeare and do this like his words, and then come off stage and do this great comedic dialogue written by these brilliant writers that are led by Jamie Denbo. So I kind of had to find both. You know what I mean? And I never felt like I had to be small with Shakespeare because really, like, you don't have much amplification at a Renaissance fair. You are performing for a crowd of people walking by with their turkey legs, and there's so many, everyone's fighting to get the attention of the crowd. And it's such a unique performance art. When I go to a Renaissance fair now, I have such respect for the people who are there. When the Queen walks through, these people who work there, they literally get on the ground and shout, "God save the Queen." I was like, I'm seeing more commitment from them than I have in some Broadway shows that I've been in, you know? Like, it is incredible. And I really felt like I just had to throw myself into it as much as possible. And that's how I wound up in the mud.
You literally threw yourself into it.
Right.
There we are. We'll come back to that word. I got to let you go, but before we do, I'm having so much fun with you, and you're doing so many cool things. I want to remind everybody that American Princess is June 2nd, and you can see them back-to-back. We're going to do the first 2 episodes on Lifetime. That's going to be, I didn't write down the time, but June 2nd on Lifetime.
9/8 Central.
Boom, there it is. You're doing your job. Real quick before you go, you're also working on a pilot at NBC, Like Magic.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on over there? How is that going?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Sounds like a pilot. There we are. Wonderful.
Yes, but playing a magician, just another really quiet character, toned down. Oh, so subtle.
I was reading about it, and it said it's based on the Magic Castle, sort of.
Right.
And I was like, you're going from one group of really committed people to another, like, little subculture committed people.
I know.
It's really interesting. Like, you're finding a really interesting.
I know.
niche that
Well,
you're
you know,
working
I love something that knows what it is.
Yeah.
And like when you know the world and you can just be completely immersed in it when you turn on the TV or you're going to a play, like, you know what you're getting yourself into. And with American Princess, you're going to a fair. And if you know what that is, you're going to love it. And if you don't know what that is, I guarantee you that you're going to want to find the closest fair that comes to your town.
Which, for the record, if you're in New York, I believe it's Tuxedo. I think it's Tuxedo, New York. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I went like once or twice. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really cool. All right. Well, that's it. I got to let you go. You got a million other things to do, but I've had so much fun with you here. I hope you had a good time hanging out with us. I want to thank you guys for being an awesome audience and asking some great questions. And thank you for those who asked out there live and tuned in. You were asking great questions as well. So June 2nd, Lifetime, American Princess. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Rory O'Malley. Make some noise.
Guys.
Come on. How awesome is he?